You're stealing from sick people." The words cut through the marble silence of the executive boardroom like a knife. Every head turned. Every breath held. The janitor stood in the doorway, mop bucket forgotten, phone clutched in his trembling hand, screen glowing with evidence that could destroy empires. Across the polished table, she sat, perfectly composed, ice in a designer suit. The CEO who'd built her fortune on promises of hope, now facing a man who had nothing left to lose except his dying daughter. He shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have seen the files. Shouldn't have discovered what billions of dollars in charitable donations were really funding. But he did that, and now, with his family drowning in medical debt and time running out, this single-father janitor was about to make the most dangerous gamble of his life: blackmail the woman who owned everything, to save the one person who meant anything. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The fluorescent lights of Titan View Corporate Tower hummed their usual midnight song. Declan Harmon pushed his cleaning cart down the 47th floor hallway, wheels squeaking against polished marble that cost more per square foot than his annual salary. He'd been doing this for 3 years now, invisible among the glass and steel, a ghost in a janitor's uniform. Tonight felt different. The executive floor was supposed to be empty. The last of the assistants usually cleared out by 9. Security did their rounds at 10:30, and by midnight, Declan had the place to himself. Just him, his supplies, and the quiet hum of machines that never slept. But tonight, light spilled from under the door of the corner office. The big one. The one with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering sprawl of Ashmont City below. Luna Stevens, CEO, founder, the woman whose face graced the covers of business magazines with headlines like "The Compassionate Billionaire" and "Tech Titan with a Heart." Declan hesitated. He should leave. Come back later. But his daughter's medication was due tomorrow, and his shift ended in 4 hours. He needed to finish. He knocked softly. No answer. He knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. Carefully, he pushed the door open, just a crack. The office was massive, decorated in shades of white and silver, with abstract art on the walls that probably cost more than his entire apartment building. Luna's desk sat near the window, a sleek glass surface that looked like it was floating. She wasn't there, but her computer was on. Screen glowing. Documents scattered across the desk. Declan should have walked away. Should have closed the door and pretended he'd never seen anything. But something caught his eye. A folder, red-tabbed, marked confidential, lying open beside the keyboard. And there, printed across the top of the visible page, Meridian Health Initiative. Fund allocation report. His heart stopped. Meridian Health Initiative. The foundation that was supposed to be processing his daughter's grant application. The one Luna Stevens had founded 5 years ago with a $50 million pledge to help families, like his Afford life-saving treatments. The one that had denied his application 3 times. Declan's hands trembled as he stepped closer. He shouldn't look. He knew he shouldn't. But Mia, his 8-year-old, had been getting weaker. The treatments were experimental, expensive, and without the grant, impossible. He glanced at the door. Still empty. Quiet. His eyes fell to the document. The numbers didn't make sense at first. Rows and columns, percentages, allocations. But as he read further, his stomach began to twist. Fund distribution summary. Total collected, $847 million. Allocated to patient care, $12 million. Administrative costs, $91 million. Redirected to private accounts, $744 million. Declan blinked. Read it again. $12 million. Out of 847 million. His breath came faster. His vision blurred at the edges. What are you doing in here? The voice was cold, sharp, and came from directly behind him. Declan spun around, knocking the folder to the floor. Papers scattered like guilty confessions across the white carpet. Luna Stevens stood in the doorway, arms crossed, her tailored navy suit without a single wrinkle. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe knot. Her expression was unreadable, carved from stone. I asked you a question. Declan's mouth was dry. His heart hammered against his ribs. I was just cleaning. The door was open, I thought. You thought you'd read confidential documents? He bent down quickly, gathering the papers with shaking hands. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I was just, stop. Her voice wasn't loud, but it froze him in place. Luna stepped into the office, heels clicking softly against the floor. She closed the door behind her. The sound of the lock turning was louder than it should have been. Declan straightened slowly, papers clutched in his hands. She walked past him, calm and deliberate, and sat down at her desk. Her eyes never left his face. Put those down. He set the papers on the edge of the desk. Luna leaned back in her chair. Studying him like he was a puzzle she was deciding whether to solve or discard. What's your name? Declan Harmon. How long have you worked here, Declan? 3 years. And in 3 years, have you ever entered an executive office without permission before? No, ma'am. Then why tonight? He didn't answer. Couldn't. Because the truth was sitting right there between them on those scattered pages. Luna's gaze shifted to the documents, then back to him. You saw something. It wasn't a question. Declan swallowed hard. He should apologize. Beg for his job. Walk away and forget everything. But the numbers burned in his mind like brands. 12 million. Out of 847. My daughter, he said quietly. Nia, she's 8. She has a rare autoimmune disorder. The treatments could save her life, but they cost $500,000. We applied to the Meridian Health Initiative. 3 times. We were told the funds were allocated elsewhere. Luna's expression didn't change. I see, she said. Is it true? Declan's voice cracked. Those numbers, are they real? Silence filled the space between them like smoke. Luna stood slowly, walked to the window, and stared out at the city lights below. When she spoke, her voice was calm, almost detached. You don't understand how foundations work, Declan. There are operational costs. Legal fees, infrastructure, marketing, partnerships. $744 million worth? She turned, and for the first time, something flickered in her eyes. Not anger. Not fear. Something colder. You're out of your depth. Declan's hands curled into fists. You're stealing from sick people. The words hung in the air like thunder before a storm. Luna's jaw tightened. Careful. I trusted you, Declan said, his voice rising. We all did. You stood on stages. You gave speeches about compassion and change. You looked families in the eye and told them you cared. I do care. Then where's the money? His voice broke. Where's the money that was supposed to save my daughter? Luna stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. You have no idea what you're talking about. No idea what I've built. What I've sacrificed. Sacrificed? Declan laughed bitterly. You live in a penthouse. You fly private jets. My daughter sleeps with an oxygen machine because we can't afford the treatment you promised to fund. I never promised you anything. No, but you promised them. All of them. Every family that donated. Every person who believed in you. Luna's eyes narrowed. And what exactly do you plan to do with this information, Declan? He reached into his pocket, slowly, and pulled out his phone. Her eyes tracked the movement. I took pictures, he said quietly. Before you came in. Every page. The silence that followed was suffocating. Luna's face remained perfectly still, but something shifted in the air. A calculation. A reassessment. That was unwise. Maybe. Declan's voice was steady now. But I'm done being invisible. I'm done watching people like you take everything, while people like me lose everything. She took one step closer, then another, until they were face to face. If you try to use those photos, she said softly, I will bury you. Your job, your reputation, your custody of your daughter. I will make sure you never work again. Do you understand me? Declan met her gaze, unflinching. I understand that you're afraid, her jaw clenched. I understand, he continued, that you've spent years building an empire on lies. And I understand that right now, I'm the only person who can prove it. Luna's eyes burned with something dark and dangerous. Get out. Declan didn't move. I said get out. He turned slowly, walked to the door, then paused with his hand on the handle. I'll give you 48 hours, he said without looking back. 48 hours to approve my daughter's grant and fund her treatment. If you do, the photos disappear. If you don't, I go to the press. You're making a mistake. Declan opened the door. No, he said quietly. I'm making the only choice I have left. And he walked out, leaving Luna Stevens standing alone in her glass tower, surrounded by everything she'd built and everything she was about to lose. Declan didn't sleep that night. He sat at the small kitchen table in his cramped apartment in the Brookshore district, phone face up in front of him, photos glowing like evidence from a crime scene. The numbers stared back at him, cold and undeniable. $744 million. Redirected, hidden, stolen. Redirected, hidden, stolen. In the next room, Mia coughed softly in her sleep. The sound cut through him like glass. She'd been getting worse. The fatigue was lasting longer. The color in her cheeks was fading. The doctors had given them a timeline, 6 months, maybe less. Without the treatment, 6 months. And Luna Stevens had billions. Declan's hands trembled as he poured himself another cup of coffee he wouldn't drink. What had he done? Threatening a billionaire CEO with blackmail. It was insane, reckless. But what other choice did he have? Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The system had failed him. The foundation had failed him. Every door he'd knocked on had closed in his face. This was his last move. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He stared at it for 3 long rings before answering. Hello? Mr. Harmon. The voice was smooth, professional, female. Not Luna. My name is Allison Hughes. I'm calling on behalf of Miss Stevens. His pulse quickened. I'm listening. Miss Stevens would like to meet with you tomorrow morning. 9 a.m. location to be determined. She asks that you come alone. Why should I trust her? A pause. Then, almost gently, because she's considering your proposal. Declan's breath caught. She's approving the grant? That will be discussed at the meeting. Will you attend? He closed his eyes. Every instinct screamed trap, but every hope whispered chance. I'll be there. Good. A car will pick you up at 8:30. Don't bring your phone. The line went dead. Declan sat in the dark, heart pounding, knowing he'd just agreed to walk into the lion's den unarmed. The black sedan arrived exactly at 8:30, sleek and silent as a predator. Declan kissed Mia goodbye, told his neighbor Mrs. Chun he'd be back by noon, and climbed into the back seat. The driver didn't speak, didn't even glance in the rearview mirror. They drove north, out of Brookshore, through the financial district, past Titanview Tower, and into the hills beyond the city. Declan's unease grew with every mile. 20 minutes later, they turned onto a private road, winding through dense forest, until they reached a gate. It opened automatically. Beyond it sat a sprawling estate. Modern and minimalist, all glass and stone. Perched on the edge of a cliff overlooking the valley below. The car stopped in front of the main entrance. "Miss Stevens is waiting inside," the driver said. His first words the entire trip. Declan stepped out, legs stiff, heart hammering. The front door opened before he could knock. Allison Hughes stood there, tablet in hand, dressed in a crisp gray suit. She was younger than he expected, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a professional smile. "Mr. Harmon, thank you for coming. Do I have a choice?" Her smile didn't falter. "There's always a choice." She led him through a foyer that felt more like an art gallery. White walls, high ceilings, sculptures that looked like they belonged in museums. Everything about the place screamed money and control. They walked through a hallway, then out onto a wide terrace overlooking the valley. The view was breathtaking, endless green hills rolling toward the horizon. Morning mist clinging to the trees, and there, standing at the edge of the terrace, hands in the pockets of her tailored black slacks, was Luna Stevens. She didn't turn when he approached. "Beautiful, isn't it?" she said quietly. Declan stopped a few feet behind her. "I didn't come here for the view." "No, you came here to threaten me. I came here to save my daughter." Luna turned then. And in the daylight, without the armor of her office, she looked different, tired, human, but no less dangerous. "Sit," she said, gesturing to a pair of chairs near a low table. Declan hesitated. Then sat. Luna remained standing, arms crossed, studying him like a chess opponent. "I've spent the last 12 hours deciding whether to have you arrested or simply destroyed," she said calmly. "Both options are still on the table. Then why am I here?" She finally sat, leaning back in the chair, legs crossed, utterly composed. "Because you're either incredibly brave or incredibly foolish. I haven't decided which yet. Does it matter?" "It does to me." Silence settled between them. A bird called somewhere in the trees below. "I looked into you," Luna said. "Single father. Former paramedic. Lost your wife 4 years ago to cancer. Took the janitorial job because it had health insurance and flexible hours. You work 60-hour weeks to cover your daughter's medications. You've sold everything you own except your car and your apartment." Declan's jaw tightened. "You had me investigated." "Of course I did. You think I'd let a man with evidence like that walk around without knowing exactly who he is? And what did you find?" Luna's gaze was steady, unreadable. A desperate man with nothing left to lose. The most dangerous kind. "Then you understand why I did what I did." "Oh, I understand." She leaned forward slightly. "What I don't understand is why you think I'll let you walk out of here with those photos still in your possession." Declan's pulse spiked. "Because if anything happens to me, copies go to every major news outlet in the country. Automatically. I'm not stupid." Luna's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. "No, you're not." She stood, walked to the edge of the terrace, and looked out over the valley again. "The foundation," she said quietly, "was never supposed to be real." Declan blinked. "What?" "It started as a tax shelter. A way to move money, clean it, redirect it into ventures that couldn't be publicly associated with my name. Legal, technically, but not exactly ethical." His stomach churned. "So you admit it?" "I'm telling you the truth. Something I don't do often." She turned back to him. But then something unexpected happened. People started believing in it. Families like yours. They wrote letters, sent photos, told stories. And for the first time in my life, I felt something I hadn't felt since I was young. "What?" "Guilt." The word hung in the air like smoke. Luna walked back to her chair, but didn't sit. "I wanted to fix it. I tried. But the investors, the board, the people who actually control the money, they wouldn't let me. Too much was tied up. Too many deals in motion, so you just kept lying. Her eyes flashed. I kept surviving. There's a difference. Not to the families you're stealing from. Luna's expression hardened. You want to judge me? Fine, but don't pretend you're any different. You broke into my office. You stole confidential information. You're blackmailing me. What makes you the hero here? Declan stood, anger surging through his chest. I'm trying to save my daughter's life. And I'm trying to save mine. They stared at each other. Two people on opposite sides of an impossible divide. Finally, Luna exhaled slowly. I'll approve the grant. Declan's breath caught. What? Your daughter's treatment? I'll personally fund it. Every cent. Relief flooded through him so fast his knees almost buckled. You will? On one condition. And there it was. The trap. What condition? Luna's eyes locked onto his. You work for me. Declan's relief curdled into suspicion. What are you talking about? I need someone I can trust. Someone who isn't part of the system. Someone who has a reason to keep their mouth shut. She stepped closer. You'll continue your janitorial work. But you'll also help me untangle the foundation. Find where the money went. Who took it? How to fix it. You want me to help you cover your tracks? No, Luna said firmly. I want you to help me expose the truth. But on my terms. Not yours. Declan's mind raced. Why would you do that? Because I'm tired, Declan. Tired of lying. Tired of being controlled. And because maybe, just maybe, you're the first person in 10 years who's looked me in the eye and told me the truth. He didn't trust her. Not even close. But Mia's face flashed in his mind, pale and fragile, counting on him to come home with hope. How do I know you won't just have me killed the moment I agree? Luna almost smiled. You don't. But if you walk away now, your daughter dies. And you know it. Declan closed his eyes. Hated how right she was. 6 months, he said finally. I help you for 6 months. And if I find out you're lying, those photos go public. Luna extended her hand. Deal, he stared at it. Then, against every instinct screaming in his head, he shook it. Her grip was firm, cold, and binding as a contract written in blood. The medical approval came through in less than 24 hours. Declan sat in Dr. Patel's office at Ashmont General, staring at the paperwork spread across the desk like he was looking at a mirage that might vanish if he blinked too hard. It's all here, Dr. Patel said, her kind eyes smiling behind wire-rimmed glasses. Full funding. Treatment starts next week. We'll need to run some preliminary tests, but Mia's a strong candidate. I'm very optimistic, Mr. Harmon. Declan's throat was too tight to speak. He nodded, trying to process the impossible becoming possible. Who's the donor? He managed to ask. Dr. Patel glanced at the form. Anonymous. Routed through the Meridian Health Initiative. But there's a note here that says it's a private benefactor. She looked up at him. You must know someone pretty powerful. He thought of Luna's cold handshake. Her eyes like frozen steel. Yeah, something like that. That evening, he sat on the edge of Mia's bed, watching her color in her dinosaur book. She'd been obsessed with velociraptors lately, always asking him questions he had to look up on his phone. Dad, did you know velociraptors were actually the size of turkeys? I did not know that, sweet pea. But they were still really dangerous. Because they were smart and fast. She looked up at him, her hazel eyes too wise for 8 years old. Being small doesn't mean you can't win. Being small doesn't mean you can't win. Declan brushed the hair from her forehead. No, it doesn't. Are you okay? You look tired. I'm fine, baby. Just had a long day. Mia set down her crayon. Did something good happen? You look different. He smiled, feeling the weight of tears behind his eyes. Yeah, something really good happened. You're going to get better. Her face lit up like sunrise. Really? Really? She threw her small arms around his neck, and Declan held her tight, feeling the fragile bird-bone weight of her, knowing he'd just made a deal with the devil to keep her alive, and he'd do it again in a heartbeat. The next morning, Declan reported to Titanview Tower as usual, but instead of his janitorial cart, he was met in the lobby by Allison Hughes. "Mr. Harmon, please follow me." She led him to a private elevator, one that required a keycard to access. They rode in silence to the 50th floor, above even the executive suites. When the doors opened, Declan stepped into what looked like a luxury apartment converted into office space. Floor-to-ceiling windows on 3 sides, a sitting area with leather couches, a full bar, a conference table, and in the corner, a desk with 3 monitors. Luna stood by the window, dressed in black jeans and a white silk blouse. Casual by her standards, but still radiating authority. "Close the door, Allison." The assistant did, leaving them alone. Luna turned. "Welcome to your new workspace." Declan looked around, disoriented. "I thought I was still cleaning." "You are. But this is where we'll meet. Where you'll research. Where we'll plan." She walked to the desk, tapped one of the monitors. "I've given you access to the Foundation's financial records. Not all of them, but enough to start." "Start what exactly?" Luna pulled out a chair, gestured for him to sit. He did, reluctantly. She remained standing, hands on the back of the chair opposite him. The money didn't just disappear, Declan. It was moved, carefully, deliberately, through shell companies, offshore accounts, investment funds. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. "You're saying you didn't do it?" Her jaw tightened. "I'm saying I wasn't the only one involved. And I'm saying I didn't know the full scope until recently." "How convenient. You don't have to believe me. But you do have to help me find out who's really responsible. Because if this goes public the way it is now, I go down. And when billionaires go down, they take everyone around them with them." Declan leaned back. "So this is about saving yourself." "Partially. But it's also about fixing something that's broken. And making sure families like yours actually get the help they were promised." She met his eyes. "You think I'm a monster? Fine. But I'm a monster who's trying to do the right thing. That has to count for something. Why me? Why not hire a forensic accountant? A private investigator?" Luna smiled grimly. "Because they can be bought, threatened, controlled. You can't. You have something none of them have." "What?" "Nothing left to lose. And a daughter depending on you to stay honest." Declan hated how well she understood him. Luna walked to a cabinet, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the table. "Start with this. It's a list of the Foundation's board members. People who had access to the accounts. Cross-reference their financial activities over the last 5 years. Look for patterns. Unusual purchases. Offshore transfers." He opened the folder. 12 names. Faces he recognized from the Foundation's promotional materials. Doctors, philanthropists, business leaders. "You think one of them did this?" "I think several of them did. And I think they've been very careful about covering their tracks." Luna's voice dropped. "Which means if they find out what we're doing, they'll eliminate the problem. You, me, anyone who knows too much." Declan's blood ran cold. "You're saying my daughter could be in danger?" "I'm saying everyone in this equation is in danger until we find the truth." Luna pulled out her phone, typed something, then showed him the screen. "I've arranged for private security, discreet. They'll watch your apartment building, monitor Mia's hospital visits. She won't know they're there. How much is this costing you?" "Does it matter?" "It matters to me." Luna pocketed her phone. "Consider it part of the deal. You're working for me now, Declan. That means you're under my protection. And so is your daughter." He wanted to argue. wanted to throw the folder back in her face and walk out. But Mia's treatment started in 5 days. And without Luna's money, his daughter died. He was trapped. And they both knew it. "How long do I have?" he asked quietly, "to find the truth?" 3 months. Maybe 4. After that, the board conducts their annual audit. If they find discrepancies, they'll start asking questions. And if they start asking questions, this whole thing unravels. And we both go down. Luna nodded. Exactly. Declan opened the folder again, scanning the names. People with power. People with resources. People who wouldn't hesitate to destroy a janitor and a CEO if it meant protecting themselves. "This is insane," he muttered. "Yes," Luna agreed. "But it's also the only way forward." She walked to the door, paused with her hand on the handle. "One more thing, Declan. Don't trust anyone. Not Allison. Not the security team. Not even me. The only person you can trust is yourself. Remember that." And with that, she left him alone in the room, surrounded by evidence of a crime he didn't commit, tasked with solving a puzzle that could either save him or bury him. Declan stared at the names on the page. 12 people. 12 potential suspects. And somewhere among them, a thief who'd stolen millions from families like his. He thought of Mia, coloring her dinosaurs, believing in a world where the small and smart could still win, and he got to work. The first week was a careful dance of distrust and necessity. Declan kept his janitorial schedule, pushing his cart through the marble corridors of Titan View Tower like always, nodding to security guards who didn't know he now had access to files that could topple empires. At night, after his shift, he'd ride the private elevator to the 50th floor and dig through financial records until his eyes burned. Luna appeared sporadically. Sometimes at midnight, dressed in running clothes, hair pulled back, no makeup. Other times at dawn, fresh from whatever world billionaires inhabited when they weren't building or destroying things. They didn't talk much. She'd point to a file, mention a name, then disappear again. It was Allison who became his reluctant guide. "These are the Foundation's quarterly reports," she said on the 3rd night, setting a stack of folders on the desk. "Public versions, sanitized, but if you cross-reference them with the internal ledgers, you'll find discrepancies." Declan looked up from his laptop. "Why are you helping me?" Allison's expression remained neutral. "Because Miss Stevens asked me to. That's not an answer." She hesitated, then sat down across from him. "I've worked for Luna for 6 years. I've seen her build this company from nothing. I've also seen what it's cost her." Her voice softened slightly. "She's not the villain you think she is. She stole from sick people, did she? Or did she build something that other people corrupted?" Allison leaned forward. "I'm not asking you to like her, Mr. Harmon. I'm asking you to consider that maybe the story is more complicated than you think." Declan wanted to argue, but exhaustion was settling into his bones like concrete. "Why does she care what I think?" "Because you're the first person in years who's challenged her. And because she sees something in you that reminds her of who she used to be." "What's that?" "Someone who still believes fighting matters." Allison stood, smoothed her skirt, and walked to the door. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you're here. Someone needs to hold her accountable. Just make sure you're ready for what you find." The door closed softly behind her, leaving Declan alone with questions that multiplied faster than answers. By the end of the first week, he'd identified 3 board members with suspicious financial activity. Dr. Raymond Cross, former cardiac surgeon, now living in a beachfront property in the Keys worth $8 million on a foundation salary of $200,000. Sophia Brennan, marketing executive, who'd purchased a private jet 2 years ago through a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. And Victor Chen, investment advisor, whose offshore accounts had received wire Transfers totaling $32 million over the past 3 years. Declan compiled everything into a report and left it on Luna's desk. She called him at 2 in the morning. "You found this in 1 week?" Her voice was sharp, awake, energized. "It's not hard if you know what to look for." "Most people wouldn't know what to look for." "I'm not most people." A pause. Then quieter. "No, you're not." Declan sat up in bed, keeping his voice low so he wouldn't wake Mia in the next room. "What do we do with this?" "Nothing yet. We need more. If we move too fast, they'll cover their tracks. We need proof, documentation, something that ties them directly to the missing funds. That could take months." "Then we have months." Luna's tone shifted, became almost conversational. "How's your daughter?" The question caught him off guard. "She starts treatment tomorrow." "I know, Dr. Patel sent me an update. Why do you care?" Silence stretched between them, filled with static and unspoken things. "Because I had a sister once," Luna said finally. "She got sick when we were young. My parents spent everything trying to save her. It wasn't enough. She died when she was 7. Her voice remained steady, clinical. "So yes, Declan, I care. Maybe not the way you think I should. But I do." He didn't know what to say to that. "Get some sleep," Luna said. "We have a long road ahead." She hung up before he could respond. Declan lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, trying to reconcile the woman who'd built an empire on lies with the girl who'd watched her sister die. The treatment began on a gray Tuesday morning. Declan held Mia's hand as the nurses inserted the 4. Her small fingers gripping his so tightly his bones ached. She was brave, his girl. Didn't cry. Just squeezed her dinosaur plush and asked the nurse if the medicine would make her strong like a T-Rex. "Stronger," the nurse promised with a warm smile. Dr. Patel stopped by after the first infusion, checking vitals, asking questions. "She's doing beautifully. No adverse reactions so far. We'll monitor her overnight, but I'm very encouraged." Declan nodded, throat too tight for words. That evening, as Mia slept in her hospital bed, he stepped into the hallway to check his phone. 17 messages from Allison. 1 from Luna. He opened Luna's first. "How is she?" He typed back, "Stable, tired, hopeful." 3 dots appeared immediately then. "Good. Take tomorrow off. Be with her." Declan stared at the message, something uncomfortable shifting in his chest. Gratitude felt too simple. Obligation felt too heavy. Whatever it was, he didn't have a name for it. He typed, "Thank you." The response came instantly, "Don't thank me. Just find the truth." 2 days later, Mia was discharged with a follow-up scheduled for the next week. Her color looked better already, or maybe Declan was just desperate to see improvement. Either way, she smiled more, laughed at cartoons, drew pictures of dinosaurs wearing capes. "Dad, when I get better, can we go to the Natural History Museum?" "Absolutely, sweet pea. And can we invite Miss Luna?" Declan froze, coffee cup halfway to his mouth. "What?" "The lady who's helping us. Mrs. Chun told me about her. She said a nice lady is paying for my medicine." He set the cup down carefully. "Mrs. Chun talks too much. Is she mean?" "The lady?" Declan thought about Luna's cold eyes and colder handshake, her midnight phone calls and careful distance, her sister who died at 7. "No," he said finally. "She's not mean. She's just complicated." "Complicated how?" "Like a puzzle that's missing pieces." Mia considered this seriously. "Maybe we can help her find them." Out of the mouths of 8-year-olds, Declan thought. Maybe we can. That night, back on the 50th floor, Declan found Luna already there, surrounded by printouts and spreadsheets. She looked exhausted, hair falling loose from its usual severe knot, dark circles under her eyes. "You should go home," he said. "So should you. I took 2 days off. I'm behind." Luna looked up at him, really looked, and for a moment something passed between them. Not friendship, not trust, but recognition. Two people trapped in the same burning building, trying to find the exit. "Your daughter asked about you," Declan said, surprising himself. Luna's hands stilled on the keyboard. "What did she say?" "She wants to take you to the museum when she's better." A flicker of something crossed Luna's face. Pain, maybe. Or longing. That's kind of her. She thinks you're a good person. Children are terrible judges of character. Or maybe they're the only honest ones. Luna stood abruptly, walked to the window, pressed her palm against the glass. The city sprawled below them, millions of lights, millions of lives, all of them unaware of the war being waged 50 floors above. "I'm not who you want me to be, Declan. I don't want you to be anyone. I just want you to do the right thing. What if I don't know what that is anymore?" He walked over, stood beside her, both of them reflected in the glass like ghosts. "Then we figure it out together." Luna glanced at him sideways. "You don't even like me." "No," he agreed. "But I respect you. And right now, that might be more important." She almost smiled, almost. "You're very strange, you know that?" "I've been told." They stood there in silence, two people on opposite sides of everything, bound together by necessity and something neither of them wanted to name. Finally, Luna pulled away from the window. "I found something. In Victor Chun's accounts. A pattern. Wire transfers going to a medical supply company in Singapore. Except the company doesn't exist. It's a front." Declan's pulse quickened. "For what?" "I don't know yet. But it's connected to 3 other board members, including Dr. Cross." She pulled up a spreadsheet, pointed to highlighted cells. "Look at the dates. They all coincide with foundation fundraising events. Large donations coming in, money getting diverted within 48 hours. So they're skimming off the top. More than skimming. They're operating an entire shadow economy, using the foundation as a pipeline." Declan leaned over the desk, studying the numbers. "If we can trace where the money ends up, we can prove they're stealing, and implicate myself in the process." He looked at her sharply. "Are you backing out?" "No, but I'm reminding you that when this goes public, everyone gets burned. Including me. Including you." Her eyes were hard, honest. "Are you ready for that?" Declan thought of Mia's smile. Her questions about dinosaurs. Her belief that small things could still win. "Yes," he said. "I'm ready." Luna held his gaze for a long moment, then nodded. "Then let's finish what we started." 3 weeks into their investigation, the foundation announced its annual gala. A black tie fundraiser at the Grandshire Hotel. 500 guests, $10,000 per plate dinner, with all proceeds going to life-saving medical research. Luna was expected to give the keynote speech. "I can't do it," she said, pacing the 50th floor office like a caged animal. "I can't stand in front of those people and lie anymore." Declan looked up from the laptop where he'd been cross-referencing bank statements. "Then don't go. If I don't go, they'll know something's wrong. The board is already suspicious. Victor asked me yesterday why I've been working late. Sophia mentioned she saw cleaning staff on this floor at unusual hours. She shot him a look. They're watching. Then we give them what they expect. You go, you smile, you give your speech. And we use the gala as cover to access Victor's office." Luna stopped pacing. "What? Think about it. Everyone will be at the hotel. The tower will be practically empty. If we can get into Victor's office, access his personal files, we might find the connection we need. That's breaking and entering." Declan raised an eyebrow. "As opposed to blackmail and corporate espionage?" She almost laughed. "Fair point. Besides," Declan continued, "I'm janitorial staff. I have legitimate access to every office in this building. No one questions a janitor with a cart. Luna studied him, calculating risks, weighing options. If you get caught, I won't. If you do, I can't protect you. I'm not asking you to. Something shifted in her expression. Respect, maybe. Or fear that he was becoming someone she couldn't control. Why are you doing this? You already have what you wanted. Your daughter's treatment is funded. You could walk away. Declan closed the laptop. Because 37 families applied for grants last month. All of them were denied. And I keep thinking about the other fathers sitting where I sat 3 weeks ago, counting coins they don't have, praying for miracles that won't come. He met her eyes. I can't walk away from that. Luna looked at him for a long moment, and something in her face cracked. Just slightly. Just enough. My sister's name was Emma, she said quietly. She loved butterflies. Used to chase them in our backyard until she couldn't breathe anymore. Luna sat down slowly, like the weight of memory was too heavy to carry standing. The last thing she said to me was, "Don't be sad," like she was worried about me instead of herself. Declan didn't speak. Just listened. After she died, my parents changed. Got harder, colder. They built this empire on the idea that money could solve anything. Could prevent anything. But it couldn't bring her back. Luna's voice was barely above a whisper. I thought if I could be successful enough, powerful enough, maybe I could save other people's sisters, other people's daughters. But somewhere along the way, I became exactly what I hated. You're not your parents. How do you know? Because you're here, trying to fix it. Luna looked up at him, eyes bright with unshed tears. What if it's too late? It's only too late when you stop trying. The silence that followed was different, softer, more honest. Finally, Luna stood, wiped her eyes with the back of her hand, and straightened her shoulders. The gala is Friday night. I'll make sure security is focused on the hotel. You'll have a 2-hour window. I'll need access to Victor's computer. She pulled a key card from her pocket, slid it across the desk. His password is on the back. And Declan? She met his eyes. Be careful. These people don't just steal money. They destroy anyone who gets in their way. He pocketed the card. Then it's a good thing I'm already destroyed. Nothing left to take. Luna's expression softened. That's not true. What do you mean? You still have hope. That's more valuable than anything they could steal from you. Friday night arrived with the weight of a storm about to break. Declan dropped Mia off at Mrs. Chun's apartment, promising he'd be back by midnight. She hugged him extra tight, her small voice muffled against his chest. Be safe, Dad. Always, Sweet Pea. At 9 p.m., the tower was a ghost town. Security made their rounds on the lower floors, but the executive level was empty, dark except for emergency lighting. Declan pushed his cart onto the 48th floor, Victor Chun's office at the far end of the hall. He'd studied the layout for days. Security cameras in the hallway, but none inside the offices. Motion sensors that could be deactivated with the right key card. He had 12 minutes between security sweeps. 12 minutes between security sweeps. He reached Victor's door, swiped the card. The lock clicked. He was in. The office was exactly what he expected. Mahogany desk, leather chairs, framed photos of Victor shaking hands with politicians and celebrities. A trophy case filled with awards for humanitarian excellence. Declan sat down at the computer, entered the password. The screen came to life. He inserted the USB drive Luna had given him, began copying files. Financial records, emails, calendar appointments, everything. 5 minutes passed. Then 10, the progress bar crawled across the screen. 47%. 58%. 73%. Footsteps in the hallway. Declan's heart stopped. Security wasn't supposed to be here yet. He had 5 more minutes. The footsteps grew closer. Stopped outside the door. The handle turned. Declan yanked the USB drive, shoved it in his pocket, and dove behind the desk just as the door opened. Light spilled into the room. Someone entered. Declan held his breath, pressed against the wall, heart hammering so loud he was sure it would give him away. "I know someone's been in my office." Victor Chun's voice, cold, certain. Another set of footsteps. A woman's heels. "Are you sure?" "Files have been moved. My computer was accessed 2 days ago when I was at the conference." Victor walked to the desk, ran his hand along the surface. "Someone's looking into us, Sophia. And I think I know who." "Luna? Who else?" "She's been acting strange, distant, and I've seen her with that janitor. The one whose kid got approved for treatment." Declan's blood turned to ice. Sophia's voice was sharp. "If she's digging, we need to shut this down, permanently." "Agreed. But we need proof first. Can't move against her without the board's approval. Then we get proof, tonight." Their voices moved toward the door. Victor paused. "Call Raymond. Tell him we're moving up the timeline. And double the security on Luna's penthouse. If she tries to leave the city, I want to know about it." The door closed. Footsteps receded down the hallway. Declan stayed frozen behind the desk for a full minute. Pulse racing, mind spinning. They knew. Not everything, but enough. And they were planning something. He had to warn Luna. He waited another 2 minutes, then slipped out of the office, moving quickly but carefully down the hallway. He took the stairs instead of the elevator, emerged on the ground floor, and walked out into the night like he'd just finished his shift. His phone buzzed the moment he hit the street. "Luna, did you get it?" "Declan, yes, but we have a problem. They know someone's investigating. And they mentioned your penthouse." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. "Luna, meet me at the following address. Come alone. Don't use your car." She sent coordinates to a location in the industrial district. Across the river, Declan looked up at the tower, its windows glowing like 100 watchful eyes, and for the first time since this began, he wondered if they'd made a mistake, if they'd started something they couldn't finish, if hope was enough to keep them alive. The address Luna sent led to an old warehouse in the Iron Gate district, the kind of neighborhood where questions weren't asked and memories were short. Declan took 2 buses and walked the last 6 blocks, checking over his shoulder every few minutes. The warehouse door was unlocked. Inside, the space had been converted into something between a loft and a bunker. Exposed brick walls, industrial lighting, minimal furniture. A laptop sat on a makeshift desk surrounded by papers and empty coffee cups. Luna stood by a window overlooking the dark river, phone pressed to her ear. She was still in her gala dress, a midnight blue gown that probably cost more than his car. But she'd kicked off her heels, and her carefully styled hair was coming loose. She ended the call when she heard him enter. "You weren't followed?" "No, I was careful." Luna gestured to the space around them. "This used to be a storage facility for one of my first companies. I kept it when everything else got sold off. Only 3 people know it exists. Let me guess. You, me, and Allison. Just you and me now." She walked to the desk, poured 2 glasses of whiskey from a bottle that looked older than Declan. She handed him one. "I sent Allison away. If this goes bad, I want her clear of it." Declan took the glass but didn't drink. "What happened at the gala?" "I gave my speech. Smiled for the cameras. Shook hands with people who are robbing families blind." Her voice was bitter. "Victor cornered me afterward. Asked if I'd been feeling stressed lately. Suggested I take a vacation. It was a threat dressed as concern. They're going to move against you, I know." Luna downed her whiskey in one swallow. "Which is why we need to move first. What did you find in Victor's office?" Declan pulled out the USB drive, plugged it into her laptop. Files filled the screen, hundreds of documents, emails, spreadsheets. They spent the next 3 hours sorting through everything. The trail was complex, deliberately obscured, but the pattern became clear. Victor, Sophia, and Dr. Cross had created a network of shell companies funneling foundation money into private accounts. But there was a fourth name that kept appearing. Someone higher up the chain. Martin Ashford, Luna said, voice tight. Board chairman. I should have known. You know him? He was my mentor when I started the foundation. Helped me structure everything. Set up the accounts. She laughed bitterly. He's been stealing from day one, and I handed him the keys. Declan leaned back, rubbing his tired eyes. How much total? Luna did the math quickly. Close to 900 million over 5 years. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. We take this to the authorities, Declan said. The FBI, the Attorney General, someone, with what proof? These files show money moving, but they don't prove criminal intent. A good lawyer could argue it was all legitimate business expenses, investment strategies. We need something concrete. Something undeniable. Like what? Luna pulled up an email chain. Like this. Internal communications discussing patient reduction and acceptable denial rates. They're deliberately rejecting qualified applicants to keep more money in circulation. Declan read the emails. Anger building with each line. They're letting people die to increase profit margins. Yes, and if we can get Martin to admit it on record, we have everything we need. How do we do that? Luna looked at him, and he saw something in her eyes he hadn't seen before. Fear. The Foundation's monthly board meeting is in 3 days. Martin always arrives an hour early to review financials. If we can get him alone, get him talking, I can record it. He'll never admit anything to you. No, but he might admit it to you. Declan blinked. What? You're nobody to him. A janitor, invisible. If you approach him, claim you found discrepancies, threaten to go public unless he pays you off, he might reveal something. You want me to blackmail him? I want you to give him enough rope to hang himself. Luna stood, paced to the window. It's risky. If he suspects anything, he'll have security remove you. Or worse. Define worse. She turned, met his eyes. Martin doesn't just destroy careers, Declan. He destroys people. I've seen him do it. Then why did you work with him? Because I was young and stupid and thought money was the same as power. Her voice cracked slightly. I thought if I could build something big enough, I'd finally be worth something. That my parents would be proud. That Emma's death would mean something. Declan set down his glass, walked over to her. Emma's death already means something. It means you know what it feels like to lose someone you love. And that's why you're fighting now. Luna's eyes glistened. What if fighting isn't enough? It has to be. Because if people like us don't fight, people like Martin win. And more kids like Emma and Mia die. She looked up at him, and for the first time since they'd met, her mask completely fell away. Not the CEO, not the billionaire. Just a woman who'd spent years building walls to keep the pain out, and they were finally crumbling. I'm scared, she whispered. Me too. What if we fail? Then we fail knowing we tried. That's more than most people can say. Luna closed her eyes, breathing slowly. When she opened them again, something had shifted. Resolve, maybe. Or acceptance. Okay, she said. We do this. Monday morning. You approach Martin. I'll be listening on comms. The moment he says something incriminating, I call the authorities. And if he doesn't, then we've lost. And we run. Declan nodded slowly. My daughter will be protected. I've already arranged for private security. If anything happens to us, she'll be taken somewhere safe. Somewhere Martin can't reach her. He wanted to argue, wanted to say he should be the one protecting Mia, but he knew Luna was right. She had resources he didn't, connections he couldn't access. "Thank you," he said quietly. Luna shook her head. "Don't thank me yet. We haven't won anything." They stood there in the dim warehouse, the city lights reflecting off the dark water beyond the windows. Two people who'd started as enemies now bound together by something neither had expected: trust. "Can I ask you something?" Declan said. "Depends on the question. Why didn't you just destroy me? That first night, when I had the photos, you could have made me disappear. Why didn't you?" Luna was quiet for a long moment. "Because you reminded me of someone." "Who?" "Me. Before I forgot what it meant to care about something more than winning." She looked at him directly. "You broke into my office not for money or power, but because you love your daughter more than you fear the consequences. I used to be like that. Before I got lost. You're not lost. You're just finding your way back." She smiled sadly. "You have more faith in me than I deserve." Maybe that's exactly what you need." The moment stretched between them, charged with something unnamed but deeply felt. Finally, Luna broke the silence. "There's a couch in the back. You should sleep. Monday's going to be hell. What about you?" "I don't sleep much anymore. Too many ghosts." Declan understood that better than she knew. "Then I'll stay up with you. Keep the ghosts company." Luna looked surprised, then grateful. "Okay." They sat together in the quiet warehouse, sorting through files, planning their next move, and somewhere in the early hours of morning, sharing stories. Luna told him about Emma, about chasing butterflies and making wishes on dandelions. Declan told her about his wife Sarah, about the way she'd laugh at his terrible jokes and fall asleep reading mystery novels. "She would have liked you," Declan said. "Sarah, she always said I needed someone to challenge me." Luna smiled. "Mia will like the museum. When this is over, I want to take her. Show her the butterflies. She'd love that." "Promise me something," Luna said, her voice quiet but firm. "What?" "If Monday goes wrong. If something happens to me. Promise you'll keep fighting. For all of them. All the families who deserve better." Declan met her eyes. "I promise. But nothing's going to happen to you. You can't know that." "No, but I can believe it. And sometimes belief is all we have." Luna reached across the space between them and took his hand. Not romantically. Not desperately. Just human connection. Two people refusing to face the darkness alone. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For not giving up on me." And in that moment, in a forgotten warehouse by a dark river, something shifted between them. Not love, not yet, but the foundation of something that could become it. Built on truth, tested by fire, and bound by the shared belief that even broken people could still do good. Outside, the city slept, unaware that in 3 days, everything would change. Monday morning arrived with rain hammering against the windows of Titan View Tower. Declan wore his standard janitorial uniform, but underneath his shirt, a wire fed into a recording device Luna had given him. His hands were steady as he pushed his cart toward the executive conference room on the 49th floor. But his heart raced like a trapped animal. Martin Ashford sat alone at the head of the long table, reading glasses perched on his nose, reviewing documents with the calm confidence of a man who believed himself untouchable. He was in his 60s, silver-haired, with the kind of face that inspired trust. Exactly the kind of mask a thief would wear. Declan knocked on the open door. Martin looked up, mildly annoyed. "Yes, Mr. Ashford, I'm sorry to disturb you. I'm Declan Harmon, maintenance staff. I found something I think you should see." Martin's expression shifted slightly. "Recognition, maybe. Or calculation." "I'm quite busy, Mr. Harmon. This will only take a moment, sir. It's about the Foundation's financial records." The words landed like stones in still water. Martin set down his pen slowly, removed his glasses. Close the door. Declan did, his pulse spiking. In his ear, Luna's voice came through the hidden receiver. I'm here. You're doing great. Get him talking. Martin folded his hands on the table. What exactly did you find? Discrepancies. Money moving through shell companies. Donations that never reached patients. I'm not an accountant, Mr. Ashford, but even I can see something's wrong. And what do you intend to do with this information? That depends on you, sir. Declan kept his voice calm, unthreatening. I have medical bills. A daughter who needs ongoing treatment. I'm just trying to survive. If someone were willing to help me with that, I could forget what I saw. Martin leaned back in his chair, studying Declan like a specimen under glass. You're attempting to blackmail me. I'm attempting to feed my family. A long silence. Then Martin smiled, cold and sharp. Do you know how many people have tried this over the years? Threatened to expose us. Every single one of them learned the same lesson. Nobody cares. The foundation does good work. We fund research. We save lives. A few accounting irregularities? That's just the cost of doing business. Is that what you call stealing $900 million? An irregularity? Martin's smile didn't falter. I call it strategic resource allocation. The foundation operates exactly as intended. We collect money from people who have too much and redistribute it to ventures that matter. Some of those ventures happen to benefit the board members. That's called capitalism. In Declan's ear, Luna whispered, keep pushing. We need him to admit the patient denials. What about the families you rejected? The ones who died waiting for help you promised. Martin waved a dismissive hand. Acceptable losses. Not everyone can be saved, Mr. Harmon. We prioritize cases with the highest likelihood of success. It's simple mathematics. My daughter almost died because of your mathematics. And yet here you are, trying to profit from the same system you claim to despise. Martin stood, buttoned his suit jacket. You're no different than me. You're just poorer at it. Rage flooded through Declan's chest, hot and blinding. I'm nothing like you, really? You broke into offices. You stole files. You're wearing a wire right now, aren't you? Martin's expression turned predatory. Yes, Mr. Harmon, I know. Did you think I became chairman of a billion-dollar foundation by being stupid? The door burst open. Security guards poured in, 4 of them, surrounding Declan. Get that wire off him, Martin ordered. And check his phone. I want every piece of evidence destroyed. Declan backed against the wall. Luna, they know. Get out. But Martin laughed. Oh, Miss Stevens is already being handled. You really thought she was helping you? She's been playing both sides since the beginning. Keeping you busy while we consolidated our position. That's a lie, is it? Then why hasn't she come to save you? Martin leaned closer. She used you just like we all do. The only difference is you were naive enough to believe she cared. The guards ripped the wire from Declan's chest. Took his phone, smashed it under a boot heel. Escort Mr. Harmon out of the building, Martin said calmly. And make sure he understands what happens to people who threaten us. His daughter's treatment? Terminated immediately. His apartment? Eviction proceedings start today. His reputation? Destroyed. By tonight, he'll be unemployable, homeless, and completely alone. Declan struggled, but the guards were too strong. They dragged him toward the elevator, his mind spinning with panic and betrayal. Luna, where are you? The last thing he saw before the elevator doors closed was Martin Ashford, smiling. Already back to reading his documents, like nothing had happened at all, Declan hit the pavement outside Titan View Tower. Rain soaking through his uniform within seconds. His hands shook with adrenaline and fury. Everything had fallen apart. Martin knew about the wire. Security had destroyed the evidence. And Luna was nowhere, She used you, Martin's voice echoed in his head. Just like we all do. No, he refused to believe it. But doubt gnawed at him like acid. His phone was gone. He had no way to contact Luna, no way to warn her if she didn't already know. He started walking, mind racing through possibilities, trying to find a thread to pull that wouldn't unravel everything. 3 blocks from the tower, a black car pulled up beside him. The window rolled down. Allison sat in the driver's seat, hair wet, face pale. Get in, where's Luna? Get in now. We don't have time. Declan climbed into the passenger seat. Allison pulled into traffic, driving fast but controlled. Martin moved faster than we expected. He's been planning this for weeks. He knew Luna was investigating. How? He has people everywhere, security, board members, even some of Luna's own staff. Allison's voice was tight with anger. She's at the warehouse, safe, but barely. They tried to grab her at the penthouse this morning. Relief flooded through Declan so powerfully his knees went weak. She's okay? For now. But Martin's claiming she embezzled foundation funds. He's already filed complaints with the SEC, the Attorney General, and the Board of Directors. By tomorrow morning, warrants will be issued for her arrest. That's insane. She's been trying to expose them. I know. But Martin controls the narrative. And right now, the story is that Luna Stevens, troubled CEO, stole from her own charity. Allison took a sharp turn. We have one chance. Luna got the recording before security reached you. It's not complete, but it's enough. Martin admitted to strategic resource allocation and acceptable losses. Combined with the financial documents you copied, we can prove the conspiracy. Then why isn't she going to the police? Because half the police are in Martin's pocket. We need someone outside the system. Someone with reach and credibility. Allison pulled up to the warehouse, killed the engine. That's where you come in. Inside, Luna stood by the window, still in the clothes she'd worn the night before, looking like she hadn't slept in days. When Declan entered, she turned, and relief cracked across her face like lightning. You're okay, she breathed. Barely. He crossed the space between them. Martin knew everything. He said you were playing both sides. Luna's eyes flashed with hurt. And you believed him? No, but for about 30 seconds I wasn't sure. She looked away. I don't blame you. I wouldn't trust me either. But I do. Declan's voice was firm. I trust you. Because if you were really working with them, I'd be dead right now instead of standing here. Luna met his eyes, searching for doubt and finding none. Something in her expression softened. I got the recording. It's not perfect, but Martin incriminated himself. We have proof. We have proof. Allison said we need someone outside the system. Luna nodded. Jessica Reeves. Investigative journalist. She's been trying to interview me for years about the foundation. I always refused because I was protecting the lie. Now I'm going to give her the truth. Everything. The files, the recordings, the shell companies. All of it. Martin will destroy you. He's already trying. But if we don't act now, he wins. And every family who donated to the foundation, every person who believed we were helping, they all become victims of a lie I helped build. Luna's voice broke slightly. I can't let Emma's memory be part of that. I won't. Declan grabbed her hand. Then we do this together. We go to Jessica. We expose everything. And we face whatever comes next. Luna squeezed his hand back, tears finally spilling down her cheeks. I'm sorry I got you into this. I'm not. Because for the first time in years, I feel like I'm fighting for something that matters. Allison cleared her throat from the doorway. Jessica Reeves is waiting at a secure location. But we need to move now. Martin's people are searching the city. Luna wiped her eyes, straightened her shoulders. The CEO mask slipped back into place, but softer now. More human. Then let's end this. The meeting with Jessica Reeves took place in a nondescript hotel room across the river, far from Martin's reach. Jessica was in her 40s, sharp-eyed and no-nonsense, with a reputation for taking down corrupt politicians and corporate criminals. She listened to the entire story without interruption, reviewing documents, listening to the recording, asking pointed questions. When they finished, she sat back, processing. This is bigger than I thought. If I publish this, it destroys the Meridian Health Initiative. Every donation, every grant, all of it becomes suspect. I know, Luna said quietly. But it's the truth. The families who receive legitimate help, they'll be caught in the crossfire. Investigated, questioned. Some might have to return funds. Declan's stomach twisted. Including my daughter? Jessica looked at him with sympathy. Possibly. I can't control how the authorities respond. Luna stood abruptly. Then we structure the story differently. We make it clear that the patients are victims, not accomplices. We direct the investigation toward Martin and the board members. We protect the families. That's not how scandals work, Miss Stevens. Everyone gets burned. Then I'll take the heat. Luna's voice was steel. I'll publicly claim full responsibility. I'll say I discovered the fraud, that I was complicit through negligence, and that I'm cooperating with authorities. I'll resign from the foundation. Liquidate my assets to create a victim compensation fund. Whatever it takes to protect the people who trusted us. Jessica studied her. You're willing to sacrifice everything? It's not a sacrifice if it's the right thing to do. Declan stepped forward. And I'll testify. Against Martin, against the board. I'll tell them how the system failed my family, how we almost lost my daughter because people like Martin value profit over lives. Jessica looked between them. You understand this will consume your lives for years? Investigations, trials, media scrutiny. You'll never be anonymous again. Luna glanced at Declan. He nodded. We understand, Luna said. Publish the story. The article went live 48 hours later. Billion-dollar charity scam. How Meridian Health Initiative betrayed dying patients. The response was immediate and explosive. News networks picked up the story within hours. Social media erupted. Donors demanded answers. Within 24 hours, the FBI announced a formal investigation. Martin Ashford was arrested at his home that same evening, along with Victor Chun, Sophia Brennan, and Dr. Raymond Cross. All four were charged with wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. Luna held a press conference the next morning. Declan watched from the wings as she stood before a wall of cameras. No makeup, hair pulled back simply, wearing a plain black suit. My name is Luna Stevens, and I am responsible. Her voice was clear, unwavering. I founded the Meridian Health Initiative with good intentions, but I allowed it to become corrupted. I failed to ask the right questions. I failed to protect the people who trusted me. And for that, I am deeply, profoundly sorry. She outlined the compensation fund, her resignation, her full cooperation with authorities. She named the families who'd been denied care, including Declan's. She held nothing back. I can't undo the harm that's been done, Luna concluded. But I can dedicate the rest of my life to making it right. To the families we failed, I see you. I hear you. And I will spend every day earning back the trust I broke. The room erupted with questions, but Luna simply walked away, head high, accepting the consequences of her truth. Backstage, Declan waited. When Luna saw him, her composure finally cracked. He caught her as she collapsed into his arms, sobbing with relief and grief and exhaustion. You did it, he whispered. You told the truth. It doesn't feel like victory. It's not supposed to. But it's right. And that matters. 6 months later, the courtroom proceedings were still ongoing, but the foundation had been dissolved and restructured under independent oversight. Every penny recovered from Martin's network was being redistributed to families who'd been denied care. Declan stood outside Ashmont General Hospital, waiting. The spring air was warm, carrying the scent of fresh flowers from the hospital garden. Inside, Mia was finishing her final treatment evaluation. Luna emerged from the parking lot, dressed casually in jeans and a sweater, her hair loose around her shoulders. She looked lighter somehow, unburdened by the weight of lies she'd carried for so long. "How is she?" Luna asked. "Dr. Patel says she's in full remission. The treatment worked." Declan's voice broke with emotion. "She's going to be okay." Luna smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "I'm so glad. None of this happens without you. None of this happens without you having the courage to confront me that night." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching families come and go from the hospital. Lives being saved. Hope being restored. "What's next for you?" Declan asked. "Community outreach. I'm working with smaller nonprofits now, ones I can actually oversee personally. Making sure the money goes where it's supposed to. It's not glamorous, but it's real. And your penthouse?" "Sold. I have an apartment in Brookshore now. 3 blocks from you, actually." Luna glanced at him sideways. "I hope that's not weird." Declan smiled. "Not weird. Just unexpected. I'm full of those lately." Mia burst through the hospital doors, running straight to Declan and wrapping her arms around his waist. "Dad, Dr. Patel says I can go back to school full time." "That's amazing, sweet pea." Mia looked up and saw Luna. Her face lit up. "Miss Luna, you came." "Of course I did. I promised, remember? Are we still going to the museum?" Luna knelt down to Mia's level. "Absolutely. How about this Saturday? Can we see the butterflies?" Something passed across Luna's face, bittersweet and healing. "The butterflies are my favorite part." Mia hugged Luna impulsively, and Luna held the young girl carefully, like she was something precious and breakable. When they separated, both had tears in their eyes. As they walked toward the parking lot together. Mia skipping ahead, Declan said quietly, "You're going to be okay. You know that, right?" Luna looked at him, really looked, and smiled. "Yeah, I think I am. Emma would be proud. So would Sarah." They walked in comfortable silence. 2 people who'd started as enemies became allies, and had grown into something neither had expected. Not romance exactly, but partnership, friendship, family, in the way families are sometimes chosen rather than given. Above them, the spring sky stretched endlessly blue. And for the first time in years, both of them felt something they'd almost forgotten. Hope. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.